Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Mani Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we're going to meditate a short period of meditation. So after the meditation we have a Dhamma talk. After Dhamma talk, question and answer and chanting. So right now Reverend Chansara is going to lead the Metta meditation.
Shall we sit in a comfortable, upright posture and we practice breathing meditation for a couple of minutes to prepare our mind and body to relax for a while because it's a too hot day. So just focus on breathing and breathing out as they naturally occur. We should not force our breathing. Just observe objectively when we are inhaling and exhaling for a couple of minutes. And if anyone is wearing mask, not comfortable, focusing on breathe, just focus on your tummy. When breathing in and breathing out, you can feel your tummy moving. Now, shall we spread loving kindness thoughts to all the living beings, including us? May all the living beings, including me, be physically well. May all the living beings, including me, be safe. May all the living beings, including me, be mentally well. Let's continue spreading loving kindness thoughts in this way until we hear the bell sound.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now time for the Dhamma talk. Today our speaker, Sai Marjan. He's a Nepalese. I was talking to him yesterday. He said he's very busy. He's starting his doctorate degree, and he has a lot of classes. He's giving a lot of Dhamma talk, different temples. Recently, I saw him. He was Indonesian temple giving a Dhamma talk in Pomona or somewhere around that area. So even he's very busy. He accepted my invitation and he's going to give a Dhamma talk today. Sai, I think you can start your Dhamma talk. So we have to call him in future Dr. Sai.
Not yet, Bhante. Good morning, Bhantes and their friends in Dhamma. Before I talk and feel too lonely, I want to invite all of our virtual friends, those who are joining through Zoom, to turn their cameras on if you are comfortable. Hi Simon, Judy, hi Sophia. Thank you so much. At least we feel connected when I can see you on the screen instead of having those black boxes. I teach online class too, so I wish I can make a rule. Everybody should have cameras on. But thank you so much for joining, and thank you Bhante for inviting again. I'm always happy to join this group and talk about the Buddha's teaching. And we all are yes, you're welcome, Peggy. We all are in this journey together, not just the COVID journey, but also the cycle of samsara. And if you are here, that means you are inspired to learn about the Buddha's teaching, what he has to teach us in our life and to make this life a little better. And that takes a lot of effort. And in Buddhism, we talk about the 4 types of efforts that you need to learn Buddhism or improve your life. And that is related to meditation practice, but also you can see its application in everyday life. So the number 1 effort that you need is anupannanang akusalanang dhammanang anupadaya. And now I'm reciting in Pali. That's the original text. So the first effort is to put your effort or have that energy directed not to arising that unwholesome thoughts that's not there. So we need to make effort not to have more negative thoughts that's not arising yet. Uppannanang akusalanang dhammanang pahanaya. We make effort to suppress or remove the unwholesome thoughts that's already arising. Anuppannanang kusalanang dhammanang uppadaya. And make effort to generate more wholesome thoughts that is not arising yet. And uppannanang kusalanang dhammanang viyobhavaya. Enhance the wholesome thought that is already present in you. So in terms of learning Dhamma, you are making all these 4 efforts. Perhaps you have already started some of wholesome activities. And if you don't know the definition, I'll make it simple. The simple definition of wholesome action, thought, or behavior is very easy to remember. Things that you do that is not harmful to yourself, not harmful to anyone else, and not harmful to both parties. That's how we define what is wholesome. And it goes in detail when we look at Buddhist psychology. We talk about different types of wholesome. And I'll just give you one example. The first example in Buddhist psychology we talk about is when you have right understanding. You do things with right understanding without prompt. So nobody is asking you to do anything, unprompted, right? Right understanding without prompt, and suppressed or removed the 3 defilements lobha, dvesa, and moha. An absence of desire, hatred, and ignorance, any action. So I'm going to repeat it. With that right understanding, unprompted, absence of those three roots of unwholesome root is considered kusala kamma. Now there's a lot more. There's about 8 of them explained in Abhidhamma, the wholesome thoughts. Now coming back to listening to Dhamma and learning about Buddhism, discussing about Buddhism is a right effort. In Eight Noble Path we call Samma Vayama, right? If you have heard Eight Noble Path, that's the path we want to choose. And we know a lot in the United States. The very commonly spoken path is right mindfulness. It's very popular. Everybody talks about it. However, without the remaining 7 paths, the right path is almost isolated. And I do research in mindfulness, and I argue sometimes. I have arguments and debates with my mentors that you cannot separate the rest of the paths from the original set. Why would Buddha bother to teach us all these 8? He should have just taught us just one, practice right mindfulness. That's enough for you. No, he taught us, he advised us, and he practiced himself these 8 paths. And without the remaining 7, we are somewhat incomplete. And we may get some good outcomes. However, there will be side effects. That means there are some areas we don't feel perfect. And I use this analogy, I think I have shared with this audience before, just like the Western thinking pattern. When we talk about, I was in Costco, if you want to stay energized, they tell you, here's the drink, just like a small tube, you just mixed in water, you get the best of the caffeine and the potassium and sulfur. I don't know if you think sulfur, but that's the list of chemicals they made. Then that made me think, here in the West, we like to just take the best of it, and we don't talk about the remaining ingredient that comes in, let's say, tea. If you take tea leaf, there's more than caffeine, I believe, right? Every other ingredients. And the East, where I come from, in Nepal and in South Asia, there is the tradition of medicine is called Ayurveda. It's not illness or disease oriented, it's life oriented. That's the meaning. Ayu means life, or vitality oriented science of vitality. That's the best translation I can do, Ayurveda. And there I've been injured, and Judy and Simon they know that how often I get injured. So I have received treatment in Sri Lanka. I broke my left shoulder, and the treatment was longer. And the point I wanted to make here is that they don't just use the extraction, they use the whole medicine. For example, if I were to treat some kind of a little bad wound, they use turmeric. They roast turmeric in a foil and cover it and band it with banana leaf. So just an example. Now, what it does, I don't know science, I don't know medicine much, but my understanding is, as long as the turmeric is good for antibacterial or any kind of infection, it also takes care of other possible side effects. So the message and what I'm trying to share with you is, when we have the set of teaching, rather than taking one thing out of it, it's better to use the whole set, so you don't have to suffer other side effects. Now, going back to Eight Noble Path, taking out mindfulness alone, leaving the rest, it could lead to unhealthy outcome or incomplete outcome. The first one is right understanding, which is extremely important. That's the biggest plan the Buddha had. He wanted to teach the world that what is the view that you should develop to suffer less. I think that's what all we want. We want to suffer less and have more joy in life. And in order to do that, we need to have a clear vision. And that right understanding is not about the universe, not about God and heaven, and not even the Buddha. The right understanding about the nature of life. There is not the suffering part. The Buddha used the term in Pali, Dukkha. The first one is Dukkha Satcha. And Dukkha Satcha is the novel truth of suffering. That's the translation. The better translation is the novel truth of dissatisfaction. It's not just the pain that we call dukkha, it's something that is the reminiscence that you experience even in the best experience. For example, if you think of your best celebration, your birthday, your graduation, your achievement, think of those moments. And even those best time, you might have thought that, something better. I wish it didn't rain. I wish it was a little cooler. I wish my mom or my dad or my family, so-and-so were present. So that lingering dissatisfaction, that is what we call dukkha. It's not just the suffering, not just the pain. Yes, there are two types of pain. One is physical and the other is distress, psychological. Buddha identified them separate. But dukkha, the noble truth, is there is ongoing dissatisfaction about life in general, no matter how best you get. Now that should be understood to move on. And that's like through experience. We see the evolution of life and we need to understand. That's like dukkhaṃ pariññayam. You have to examine and comprehend the nature of it. The next part is samudaya, the cause of the suffering, which is cause of dissatisfaction, which is tanha in Pali. And the meaning is desire. Again, desire is not like desire to eat. Well, that's a fundamental need that you cannot leave, you cannot give up. Buddha himself continued to take care of his body as needed. So you can't argue, oh, Buddha had desire. What misunderstood about Buddhism is desire to have more than what you have, desire to have differently. So in Pali, the term is used upadana. The clingingness is the problem. In our, the way we experience our life, things that we eat, clothes that we wear, places, and the living setting we have, there is a clinging in there. That's what the problem is. And there's a nice story I want to share just to make it a little sticky. I like to tell stories that they're always sticky. It stays longer. This monk, it's a story, so don't think that like all monks are in the same problem, but this young man who became a monk under a little senior monk, let me give you a little background. So when we think of attachment, the clinging, we always blame the object. This is too good to let go. My family is holding me on this relationship. My role is such that I cannot give up. So that concept is actually the reversed in this story. And this young man who just became a monk, and the teacher wanted to test his level of understanding. And teacher left him in a small hut. Teacher told that I'll be back in a few months. And this young man, a young monk, he was living in this small hut. And one night he woke up and he found his robe, the clothes that he wears, was with a big hole. There's a piece taken away, and he realized there was a rat in that hut, and the rat was cutting his robe and making a hole in it. And he, of course, was concerned because that's his robe, and he wanted to get rid of the rat. And typically monks are supposed to go on alms round, so they take their bowl and go to the town, not begging, but they just walk around the town to gather food. So in this morning, he talked to a person and said, I have a rat in my hut. I needed some kind of a remedy. And the man suggested, okay, then the best thing you can do is bring a cat. So a cat will keep the rat away, and your robe is protected. Brilliant idea, isn't it? So the monk was happy to get a cat, took it back to her hut, and now he's there, no more rat, as long as cat is around. So now there's another problem, because the cat is not going to watch without food. So you need to feed the cat. he went back to the town again, talked to people, said, well, it's good that I don't have rat anymore, but I need to feed the cat. And the people said, okay, we'll offer you some milk for the cat. And the young monk takes the bowl of rice for himself, food for himself, and a bottle of milk for the cat to keep the rat away. And this is happening for a few days. Now he's a little bothered. The monk is a little bothered. I can't carrying this bowl of rice and milk every day. I need a little different solution. And he talks to the people, and the people said, well, then the better solution is you need to have a cow, so you can milk the cow, feed the cat, so you don't have a rat in your house. And that's a good idea, right? And he got a cow. Now he has to milk the cow, feed the cat, so rat doesn't bother. His robe is protected. But you can see he's getting busier and busier. And well, cow is not going to give milk without grass. So you need to feed the cow. And next day, there's another problem to the people that he presented. Well, I need some grass or hay to feed this cow so I can get the milk, feed the cat, so I don't have rat. And now you can imagine this monk carrying a pile of grass on his head, taking to the hut, feeding the cow, making the cow feed the cat so he doesn't have a rat anymore. And he's again like thinking, now this is too much, I can't do this. So he talked to people and said, I need a piece of land so I can grow some grass, so I don't need to carry grass anymore, so I can feed the cat, you know the rest, right? And now his day is getting packed with too many duties, and he works in the field, cut grass, feed the cow, milk the cow, feed the cat. He doesn't have a rat, so he can protect his robe. And this went on, and people come to ask for Dhamma. People sometimes want to discuss, like, he doesn't have time. I don't have time. I have too many duties. Come next time. Because he tells his story, what he does to protect his robe. It's a major duty he's taking upon. Some time passes, and his teacher comes by, and he sees his student sweating in the field, working to just maintain his daily chore, just to protect his robe. And teacher asks, okay, it's your time now. I'm going to take you to the temple so you can start practicing your meditation. And student goes on, Bante, you have no idea how busy I am here. I'm so connected. I'm so preoccupied to buy these things. I have to cut grass to feed the cow and then milk the cow to feed the cat. So I don't have rat and I can protect my robe. So I'm all attached. I'm so held by these duties. I cannot go to temple. And teacher, of course, wise enough, he walks away and he hugs the tree and tells that, the tree is hugging me. And teacher screams from that place, and student goes to the teacher and said, you're crazy. The tree is not hugging you. You're hugging the tree. And it's almost like a moment that he get that realization. So, oh, is that true? So who is hugging, who is holding, who is attaching, clinging to things? And this story, the message is that we don't realize how much we develop connections and attachment and clinging in our life. And perhaps it goes back to some basic needs. This goes back to just like the monk trying to protect the robe. And that's one part, the second noble truth that Buddha tried to explain and help us understand. And it may come in different form. Some people have stronger, some people have weaker, but be aware of that. Your job is to reduce those strong bonds. And the third one is an inspiration. The third noble truth is Nirodha Satya, the noble truth of cessation or eradication of all those attachment, which is an inspiring, because Buddha didn't just talk about dissatisfaction and attachment. He talked about there is a remedy. This is how you get out of the remedy. There is a state of mind. Now, some people consider enlightenment as a place or some kind of a realm. It's actually a state of mind. And in Abhidhamma, very clearly mentioned that state of mind can be inspired in a millisecond. That's what we try to do. as we continue learning and applying some of the meditation techniques, that enlightenment happens in a very brief moment. And that's where we see the 4 stages of enlightenment explained in Buddhism is Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahanta. The stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, and the fully enlightened. And those 4 stages of enlightenment is 8 mind moments. It's nothing more. Those are 8 mind moments. That is the first mind moment, Sotapanna Magga, Sotapanna Phala. As if somebody raised their foot to step down. So that's where it becomes 2 mind moments. And all other mind moments, all the thoughts that we have, they repeat. Now, for example, the thought of joy, they repeat in our life. And they can reverse. So you had a thought of joy, then you have thought of remorse, sadness. So it doesn't last forever. Thought of anger, it arises, it does some damage, you may produce some karma, and it disappears. And it can arise again later. And again, thought of compassion, it may arise, you may do something out of it, and it disappears. So you continue to have more of them. However, the difference between all these other mundane thoughts, that's the term in Pali we call lokiya, mundane thoughts, and the enlightenment thoughts are called supramundane. That means they're irreversible. The state of enlightenment is irreversible, and it does not takes the person back to previous state. It's a transformation of mind, where the mind becomes free from all the defilements. That's the Nirodha Satya, the truth of cessation, the truth of enlightenment. And once the person is there with this purity and the cleansing of mind by practice, there is no way to get there by prayers or worship or offerings. You can do a lot. They are great. They are merits. We do have to practice generosity, precepts, and all other Dhamma discussion. The only way, only path to reach that non-reversible transformation of our mind is meditation, practice of meditation. And once the person arrives there, he's not just the body, but also in Buddhism we talk about the stream of consciousness change. The person who is at the stream enterer, we call Sotapanna, that person will not be reborn more than 7 times. So after this life, there is only 6 more births for the person, because it's irreversible. His state of mind is different. And the other way to explain this is the person becomes the embodiment of Dhamma. There is no necessary, the person does not need to learn Dhamma. He becomes the embodiment, I think that's the best word I can choose, of the Dhamma. His action, his speech, his thought are free from defilements. Of course, there is some level until you're fully enlightened. The stream enterer has very limited defilements. 3 major defilements that the person is able to get out of at the stream entrance level is Sakkaya Ditthi. There's no more concept of me and I. The egocentric thinking is over. He does not, or she does not, think from egocentric perspective. Attachment to self is over. Vicikicca, the person has no more doubt. There is no way he would question about his state or his confidence in Dhamma. And Silabbata Paramasa, the person is no more practicing extreme path for extreme views, extreme moralities. And if you've learned the Buddhist history, there are some extremes, and even now we see some extreme practices, self-mortification, torturing your own body. So he doesn't, or she doesn't, do any more of those. So the state of stream entrance is extremely appreciated and praised in Buddhism. And once person is that level, there is no way to reverse. Now that's in very short, what is the 3rd noble truth, the enlightenment state. And the next one, the 4th one, is the recipe. How do we get there? That's what Buddha explains in the recipe. Well, the way to get there is Arya Attangika Magga, the Eight Noble Paths. And these paths, even it is given as 8 separate paths, they are interconnected. You cannot practice the other one path without fulfilling the previous path or so. For very quickly to review this 8 paths, the first one is Samadhi, right understanding. And right understanding goes back to what we just talked, Four Noble Paths, Four Noble Truth. So right understanding of Four Noble Truth is important. And it's almost like you woke up and you're trying to clear your vision. Without vision, you're not getting anywhere, not even to the bathroom, right? You need to make sure that you see properly, that the vision, right? Ditti in Pali actually means the view, but in English it's translated sometimes as right view or right understanding. So right understanding of those Four Noble Truths in the correct order. The first Noble Truth should be Dukkha, Dukkha, Satchikadamma. You have to understand well this first Noble Truth. Second Noble Truth, you have to eradicate. The third Noble Truth, you have to achieve. And the fourth Noble Truth, you have to practice or cultivate. So you don't do the same thing for those Four Noble Truths. Each one has the different job. The first one, eradicate. The first one, comprehend. Second one, eradicate, because it's the attachment. The third one, achieve. The fourth one, practice, cultivate. And once you have that, that's what we call Samadhi, right understanding or right view. Samma Sankappa, the right mindset or right thought. And when you say right thought, the 3 extreme thoughts the Buddha tried to avoid, not to get there. The 3 extreme thoughts, one is extreme desire, extreme attachment, and extreme aversion, the violence thinking. So the person who is free from these extreme thinking is considered you have right thinking. So right thought. And if you try to see this in our daily life, it's nothing mystical about these paths. We try, right? We were having conversation with a friend or a difficult client or a person. All I want to do is not to have that wrong thought. I don't want to have that thought to hurt somebody. I don't want to have thought to take something away from others. So the practice should be relatively easier when we see it in our everyday examples. Right thought, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, right speech. Any kind of speech that divide people, bring conflict between people, or creating schism, that is considered a wrong speech. And unifying and meaningful and truthful speech is considered right speech. Isn't that what we want to do every day? We try to stay away from trouble by not speaking that's untruthful and speaking that is meaningful and truthful, right speech. Samma Kammanta, engaging right action, and the right action related to physical action, what you do. Hurting others is considered wrong action, because the gold standard, do others the same what you prefer to be done to yourself. Now, if you use that example or that gold standard, it's a simple teaching that we can apply in every day. Not stealing, not hurting others, not engaging in sexual misconduct. All these are part of right action. So you purify, and that purification comes from practice of precepts. And right action, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, right livelihood. You're not dealing with arms. You're not selling drugs or poison. That is considered wrong livelihood. Right livelihood, the profession of like doctors, therapists, teachers, people, those who are, of course, supposed to make profit, but not by hurting or damaging other people's life. So right livelihood is the 5th one. And the 6th one is the Samma Vayama, and that we talked earlier at the beginning, right effort. After knowing all these, and even it sounds like a lot of things, it's just reflecting how you spend your day. So right effort is, again, the 4 types. Try not to have unwholesome thought that is not arising. Try to suppress or remove unwholesome thought that is already present, try to have more wholesome thought that is not arisen, develop or enhance right wholesome thought that is already present. And you can see how they relate. Wholesome thought, if you practice loving kindness, meditation, you engage in Dhamma discussion, that is considered wholesome. So your job is to keep enhancing. And something that you have not done, you have never offered anything, you have never talked to a monk and tried to attend to someone in need, that could be wholesome thought that you have not arisen in you. The unwholesome thought that is already arisen, to suppress maybe some bad habit, maybe some addiction, maybe something that you've been doing for some time. Find a way to get out of that habit and potential bad habits, potential unwholesome thoughts. So you can see they relate. Samma vayama, completing 4 effort. And right mindfulness is the 7th one, samma sati. And it's very well known. The simple idea is, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sit down, close your eyes, and practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is about being present with your mind and body wherever you go. It could be while you drive, but I don't recommend closing your eyes if you're driving and trying to practice. It is about being cognizant what's happening around you. You're knowing your speed, you're knowing your posture, you're knowing the people around you. That is mindfulness. You're driving mindfully. While you eat, what are you putting in your mouth? You're not stuffing food so you can finish this and get to next task. That is not mindful. And you're taking your time to savor. That's a beautiful term I learned. Savoring the experience. And even when you have a cup of coffee, I guarantee you, I've done this before when I was teaching in Morno Valley. I normally give my audience homework right after my class. I told them to choose an activity to do for a week mindfully. Not all of them. Choose one activity that you do mindfully. Whether you're brushing your teeth, drinking a cup of coffee, going to bed, that short ritual, try to do one of those. We do hundreds of activities in a day. Choose one activity to do mindfully with awareness, with intention. And you will realize how much you have missed in your life. All that experience. That's what mindfulness is. And in mindfulness elaborated sutta, the big book on mindfulness by Bhikkhu Nyanaponi, he writes about the translation. The Buddha's teaching is Satipatthana Sutta. There you find Gate Tite Sutte Uchare Passare. Now that's not in the right order, but he lays out what is to be mindful. While you walk, stand, sit, lie down, you urinate or you use the bathroom, even during those times that you are aware of your bodily action. Your mind is present with you. That's how this mindfulness works. And it goes on beyond. So mindfulness is, yes, you use breathing, you use belly as an anchor to start learning. But as we know the basic concept, you can bring it to your everyday by choosing one task to do it mindfully. While you're cooking, maybe you're chopping some vegetables, or you're hearing the sound of the food, cracking in oil, or you're with your baby, and listening to their every movement. You are with your patient, you're dealing with their stress, or you're driving. Any task, and if you choose one to do with full awareness and not carried away, that's what happens most of the time. You're with one task, your mind is quickly carried away either to the future or to the past. Let's say you had a patient who is super annoying, then you miss the patient who is super nice. I wish all of my patients were like so and so. Or if you have a nice patient, then you think about the annoying patient, like, I wish every patient was like this, not like the other one. So you didn't stay with the experience. Your mind immediately walked away from the experience to, that's what we talked about, the attachment, the clinging. You're wanting something that is not there, expecting something that is not right in the moment. But practice of mindfulness is can be very simple, can be done in every day for a short time. I was right before this, I was gardening, with my daughter, and she wanted to collect some bugs. I can't even say the name, centipede. So she wanted to collect those bugs, and that very short experience, seeing that tiny bug moving their legs, and that I don't know how they manage 100 legs. I tumbled with 2 legs. There were like hundreds of them. So that experience, being present, makes every memory very powerful and lasting. That's what mindfulness is, trying to take it out from the book to our life. And the last one, just to keep it, I think I've been talking for a while, the last one is Samadhi, right? Concentration, which is the path toward a higher knowledge, where Buddhism talk about a person who is able to spend more time with lasting joy, lasting happiness, lasting equanimity, and ultimately enlightenment. So that is possible. That is possible once you are deep into meditation. And right concentration is about choosing an object to stay with the object as long as possible. And there are many ways to practice right concentration. Now, this is the recipe Buddha gave in the Fourth Noble Truth. And if you look at it, it's nothing alien about it, nothing divine about it. This path is for humans. I don't know any gods, who practice these. But the teachings, they say gods practice too. But to me, what I know is humans. And what I know is human conditions. And with one or all of these principles, you take it out from the book and apply it in your life. I think we are succeeding ourselves, and we are also making the Buddha successful in his endeavor, because he spent 45 years and many lives to perfect these ideas, and experimented himself and tested in himself, found it's useful. That's what he shared. I think that's what, being a psychology student, I know what science is about. We try to find the best solution for existing problems, so other people don't need to go through the same distress. And the Buddha did the same thing. He experimented, he found it useful. Not only him, millions of people since that 6th BC have tested this and found it useful. I don't think it hurts. I'm not saying you have to practice. I don't think it hurts to give it a shot, because we try so many things, right? You go to a store, how many random food and drink you try? It's just like that. It doesn't hurt to give it a try and see how it changes your life. So I want to invite you all to bring Dhamma to your life, and wish you good luck and success with the practice of Dhamma. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sai. If you have any question, you can ask right now.
Hi, Sai. Thank you so much for your wonderful Dhamma. I was thinking when it comes to right livelihood, I tend to recall it from the Vanijja Sutta. There are 5 kinds of businesses. And my question is not everybody is a businessman in the world. So a person who is avoiding all those 5 kinds of businesses, does it mean he's avoiding wrong livelihood completely? Because when I did research about right livelihood, I found something like the deepest level of right livelihood, that is avoiding from kuhana, lapana, nemittikata, and labena, laba, nijigin senata. So those are the very deep level of right livelihood that I found. So when I look at, I think everybody is falling under these categories. because not everybody is a business. So that's my question. I'm kind of like to enlighten myself more. So yeah, even I have written a kind of research, but I'm keeping it until it's getting published somewhere. Thank you so much.
But remind me your name. I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Santa, you know me well.
Santabante?
Santa Sarah, you know me well.
Oh yeah, I know. I remember you, but the name is not clicking. I know so many Bantes. Santabante, Santa Sara, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Santa Bante. That's a good question. And sometime, yes, I like that you cited that kuhana, because when you talk about right livelihood, the simpler or easier way to understand is to avoid wrong livelihood. And it's a little vague sometimes. And the way I take some of the Buddha's advice is he listed 5, I can't remember all of them, but definitely weapon, killing animals, selling animals, human, and some type of, I think I don't know the term, like hookers or something related to people that they sell their body in a way. So they're wrong, they considered wrong livelihood. Now, why he listed them, that's what it was popular during the Buddha's time, right? In his time, there weren't complex business like now, what we see. Whatever he listed was what was present. And the way we can imply that teaching is, what was the underlying reason that he didn't want us to sell weapon? Well, it takes life. It is it is killing someone. And same with the other principles, selling meat, that means you need to kill something to sell meat. And or slavery, why it is? Because you're taking away someone's dignity. And so when you look at the type of merchant, but the business, then he had a reason to name them or list them as a wrong livelihood. Now, if you look at the current businesses, you can to some extent see which one is appropriate and which one is not appropriate. And going back to what Bante's question, the deeper level, that the kuhana is, you're trying to deceive people. There's a cheating involved, and there's a lot of nice analogy in the Buddha's teaching that he used the tula. Some people cheat using scales. For example, I'm selling butter, but I mix a bunch of other chemical to make it 1 pound. So 50 pound of butter, and I'm sorry, half of the pound is butter and half of the pound is something else. Now that is considered deceiving. Now those kind of business, not cool. We consider that as, again, you are violating what Buddha considered right livelihood. So the idea and overly profiting to the point that you don't serve the business, the purpose of your business. Now people, I'm sure you've heard. I know a very close friend of mine who got into trouble. Not friend, but the person who was very close to me, trouble because of some the owner of that clinic was not doing right things. I'll make it very vague, but still explain. They were prescribing wheelchairs to a bunch of people, those who don't even need, and almost it's a federal crime because they're taking money from the insurance company. That's the best way I can explain. But those are considered, now you are cheating in your business. You're not just profiting, you're cheating. So when you look at some of the terms in Pali, it tries to explain what kind of business is, again, not within the Buddhist practice. But there are a lot of practices could be within. And think of people, those who are doing business. What's your purpose? Are you trying to build an empire of your business, or are you trying to make a good living out of it and also continue to employ other people and do a service back? So yes, it's tricky when we think of all these, so that means we cannot make profit. No, that's not true. Buddha has a clear advice about making profit. he gave, I think Bante quoted that sutta, Vyarkapaja Sutta, gives nice explanation. When you are in business, there is a way you can earn profit and you can reinvest some of those money for future profit. And it's completely allowed. There is no restriction. What is not allowed is using business, you're in business that lead to violate some of your own principles that you learn in Buddhism. Like the simple principle like killing or hurting and that deceiving. That's a big problem. So, Bante, I think if we can examine the current businesses and look at them with a little newer lens and compare some of those business with the business that Buddha disapproved, it will be easier. So we do need to look at, we don't have clear guidelines, but we do need to look at the underlying purpose for restricting certain businesses. But I don't know if I were any helpful, Santa Bante.
Thank you so much. Maybe we can use
Thank you. Thank you, Sai. If anybody have any question, very short question and short answer. We have no more time. If anybody have any question. Yes. Short question, please.
This kind of actually is expanding on the first question that was asked. I've often wondered, like, because you don't want to make money that causes violence, but like I can't help but a lot of times kind of ponder on like how impossible it is to be completely non-violent in your business. Like, so even if you're selling sugar, you have a grocery store and you're selling sugar, it's maybe contributes to like the obesity epidemic, or if I'm just selling a simple piece of art or something and they have to go on a plane and I have to use a lot of plastic and it's using fuel and causes pollution. I was just wondering what you have to say on that, because it's something I think about often.
What's your name, sir?
Tay.
Tay?
Yes.
Hey, thank you, Tay, for your question. And to keep it short, like I like that you use example of sugar, and I'm not trying to be too radical about the answer, but the way I see that make it possible to practice is we need to stay in the middle path. Now, to me, like selling sugar, if you are selling sugar with this intention to kill people, that's dangerous. But the purpose of sugar business could be, it's I think within that doable business. Now, the example you use, like obesity that lead to more disease and possible death, is the people, those who are consuming, it's their own choice. We cannot control that part. Now, your intention matters. That's one thing I want to say. And same thing with the using of plastic. And if you think that it disturbs you, like as a Buddhist, the Buddha's follower, any of those things that disturbs you, and you may feel like, I'm not doing the right thing, it's better to stop. It's better to change the profession. But from the Buddhist point of view, those are completely acceptable, and you don't have, as long as you don't have that intention to do such damage. And if you take that, to me, when you think from like a sugar leading to diabetes to death, is little harder to think of anything that would be not dangerous. Even water, overdose of water can kill before alcohol. Before caffeine, because you can take only so much. And any other substance, right? Food, overdose, overeating could lead to many problems. So anything in extreme could be dangerous. However, that does not mean that we stop living. There were a group of religious followers during the Buddha's time. They were called Jainism, so it's still available. Some of them are in India. They avoided drinking water because they knew there is a micro life in water. Not just living water, drinking water, they avoided many things. Taking bath, Now you can imagine somebody doesn't take bath for life, right? So that they avoided wearing clothes because they thought even the contact with the clothes in their body could give them sensation that related to desire. So that part, and they definitely use the broom when they walk everywhere just to sweep, because they're not stepping on tiny bugs and animals, living beings. And Buddha condemned those because that is extreme. When we walk, I don't think your intention is to, I'm going to kill a bunch of ants today when I walk. Your intention is to get from A to B, right? Still, you might crush some beings. And there was one quick story that's really appropriate here. A monk who was doing walking meditation in the backyard of the temple, and the other monks saw this monk was stepping on a lot of ants, a lot of other tiny bugs. And they reported back to the Buddha and said, Bhante, that Bhante is killing a bunch of living beings in the backyard. I don't think that's appropriate. And Buddha summoned that monk, long story short, and Buddha explained the monk who was meditating, he was blind. And that blindness happened right at the moment of his enlightenment, because he was determined to become enlightened and then sleep. So he didn't sleep until he's enlightened, and that monk was blind and he was doing walking meditation. And that's where Buddha explained very clearly, it's the intention that we look at. Your intention is not to hurt, and it's not like deceitful intention, like, oh, I didn't mean to hurt, but it just happens. No, that again, that is already not true. The intention is like you sincerely, what was the purpose of your action? Why do you do such and such things? So intention is very important to examine, to think about either business or type of food we eat. Otherwise, it will be impossible to live. We stop all of those in extreme ways. But if you keep that intention in check, I think we can live in this world as we do and still do less harm and more good. Tay, I hope I was somewhat helpful to your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sai. Thank you for everybody. I think we don't have no more time. Right now, we're going to chant the page 4 and page 10. Before that, I'd like to mention one thing. Next Sunday, I believe the 17 or 18, whatever coming Sunday, 18. Stephen Subodha is going to give a Dhamma talk. Please join with us also. Right now, we're going to chant the page 4 and page 10.
Thank you, Bhante. I'm going to take my leave for now.
Talk to you later.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye, Judy.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dhamma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the face stuck fearless be. May the grieving share of grief and the sick find help relief. Nguyện di sự không nước phổ cập ư nhà ni nhà đặng dự chung sanh giới cộng an Phật đạo. Nguyện di sự không nước phổ cập ư nhà ni nhà đặng dự chung sanh giới cộng an Phật đạo. Nguyện di sự không nước phổ cập ư nhà ni nhà đặng dự chung sanh giới cộng an Phật đạo. Thank you again for everybody. Please try to join next week also. And Sunday we are open. So if you like, you can come to the Sunday service also. Again, next Sunday is going to give a Dhamma talk. Our good friend Subodha, Stephen Subodha. I wish for everybody good health. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.